I'm so very excited for today. Today's our first Anglophone East School District's Girls in STEM Day. And we chose your school and you to participate because we think that, girl power, and I really truly believe that girls can rule the world. So we have some amazing speakers for you today. I've brought some of my lovely team to run some activities with you. And we are just excited to be spending the morning together, getting to hear inspiring stories and getting you to explore some robotics as well. So before we dive into our morning, I would like to take a moment and respectfully acknowledge that the land on which we are today is part of the unceded traditional territory of the Mi'kmaq people. In a spirit of peace and friendship, I express gratitude for the history, the culture, rights, and traditions of the Mi'kmaq people, and we are committed to reconciling through education and honoring those who are before us. So I'm going to invite everybody in the room today to think about the territory where we are here and how you might, in your own way, recognize the land that we now call Canada. So here's what our day is going to look like. So we're going to do a little welcome. I'm going to talk a little bit about myself and my story briefly. We're going to hear from our guest speakers today. We will have a break at around 11 o'clock, like a 5-minute break. And when we come back, we're going to do some robotics exploration. We're going to have lunch, and we're going to have a quick wrap-up. So that's what our day is going to look like. So if you're wondering, ooh, I can't sit for that long, it's about an hour, and then you're going to get up, and you're going to move, and you're going to get to explore some robots. So just some fun facts. As I was getting ready for today, I started looking up a little bit of research and statistics when it comes to women and girls in the STEM field. So is there anyone here who can tell me what STEM means? What does that represent? What are the words for STEM? Does anybody know?
Oh, the science to call it. Anybody there's that.
Yeah, fantastic. So STEM is science, technology, engineering, and math. And today is also the UN International Day for Girls in ICT. Does anybody know what ICT stands for? Yes. Information Communication Technology. So that fits in STEM through the technology piece. So it's really an important day in the world, and why we chose to celebrate it today with you here for our Girls in STEM Day in Anglophone East. So who am I to be standing here in front of you talking about girls in STEM? So my name is Céline Gallien, and my job is subject coordinator for Numeracy and Science. Numeracy is math, and with Anglophone East. So my job is to help teachers use the best tools to teach you about math and science. That's my job. And you'll see I have a whole bunch of badges over here. So these are some of the things that I do in the world of STEM. So I have a Microsoft Innovator Educator Expert badge. I had to apply and prove that I can use technology in innovative ways in classrooms. Some of the ones that I'm most proud of is this one here, Sparking Curiosity. This is something I started with my friend Beth over there during COVID, and we've presented at many conferences for people around the world about encouraging students and adults and teachers on how to be curious about the world around them and allow students to ask questions and figure out what they want to learn through that. So these are just some of the things that I do in the world of STEM that help me want to make the world a better place. And one of the things I'm most passionate about is having students like you, like yourselves, sitting here today, and seeing that you too can make a difference in the world in science and technology and engineering and in math. So that's enough about me. So we're going to get started with our speakers today. And our first speaker that we're going to have is Nury Kim. So Nury is, I have a little bio here. I'm just going to. So she's from Moncton and is a Harrison Trimble alumna. She recently graduated with a software engineering degree from the University of New Brunswick and will be working as a software engineer based out of Halifax in the fall. So outside of school, she likes to read, hike, camp, dance, and hang out with her friends. She's also an active advocate for women in STEM and hopes to inspire more girls to pursue a career in technology. So without further ado, we're going to invite Nury up, and we're going to swap laptops and get started.
Hi everyone, I'm Nury, and like before was said, I am a graduate from Harrison Trimble, and I just graduated from UNB from the software engineering program. And I'm going to be talking a little bit about life in tech, some career options that you have if you just do decide to go into tech, and a little bit about software in general, just because that's what I specialize in. Okay, first I'm going to talk a little bit about my personal timeline.
It is currently sprinkling outside. Then it's quite wet, so burn within Nury this morning, but which side looks good per inside. And could Brandon there please come to the office? Thank you.
Awesome, into recess. So this is a little bit about my timeline, and maybe if this sounds familiar to you and you relate to some of it, maybe it's something that you can consider as well. So first of all, I've always really loved math, and I think that's something that a lot of people cannot relate to, but maybe you can. I have loved math since I was your age, all throughout high school. I really enjoyed problem solving, puzzles, games, anything like that. So I really wanted to do something in the STEM field, and I'd actually decided to go into chemical engineering. And don't ask me what that is, because I don't know either. I didn't actually end up going into it, but I was planning to go into chemical engineering at UNB, and then I decided to take my first computer science class in high school. And I only took that computer science class because somebody told me that it would be good for chemical engineering. And when I took that computer science class, I absolutely loved coding, and I switched. And I think that's something to consider as well. I think a lot of people, you still have a couple of years until you have to decide what you want to do after high school, but a lot of people think that's kind of the end-all be-all, but it really isn't. You can switch or change your mind at any point, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I have a lot of friends who go into a program in university, and then they change their mind after 2 years. You're really not stuck with the choice that you have. So I stuck with mine, and I did 5 years of software engineering with a little bit of co-ops in between. Co-ops are just when you work throughout your degree, and now I'm here. So first, I wanted to answer a question. What does a software engineer actually do? And I feel like some people hear software engineer and they kind of know what it means. They know it has to do with coding, but they don't actually know exactly what it is at all. So I just want to answer that first question. And in short, we create software. And again, that doesn't answer a lot of questions, so I wanted to define what is software. And software is anything that is made with code. I don't know if there's like coding classes for the next school now or anything like that.
Yes. Oh, they code in your tech class, right?
Oh, awesome. Okay, that's definitely new from when I was in school. So you guys already know what coding is then. So basically, you would learn a bunch of languages, just like you would learn French or English or any other language. But this is just a language that you can communicate with a computer, and you can tell the computer what you want it to do. So this can be an app on your phone or a website or anything like that that would require code, and software engineers would help create those things. So this slide, I just wanted to show you that code really is everywhere. This is just a simple Google page. But if you actually inspect the code that is behind this one Google page, all of this confusing stuff comes up. And this just goes to show that even the simplest page with just the text and a search bar needs all of this code, and it's really awesome. So a software engineer would have created this or helped create this. So I wanted to bring a little bit about the day in the life of a software engineer. And in short, basically, every job is very different. I know that when you're in school, it can be a little bit confusing about what people with jobs actually do. You know, you attend meetings, you answer emails, but you don't actually know what that's for. But every job really is different. And you can think of that a little bit like a sports team. So if you were playing basketball for your school, that would look very different from somebody who is in a high school basketball team or in a university basketball team. You would still be playing basketball, but it would look very different because maybe you have different coaches or you're in different levels and your practices would look different. So that's kind of similar to a job as a software engineer. So you all have the same goal of creating software. So you all have the same goal of playing basketball, but it does look different for every job. Now let's talk a little bit about a couple of female role models in tech. So first we have Carol Shaw, and she is the first video game designer who was a female. She created video games like Riverwood and 3D Tic-Tac-Toe, and you would have no idea what those are. Me neither, but they were really popular at the time. And she pursued a career in computer science in the 1970s, which was definitely very rare for women to pursue a career in the tech industry. We also have Katherine Johnson, and she was a NASA scientist, mathematician and computer scientist, and she did the trajectory analysis for the first human flight in America. And if you've ever watched Hidden Figures, I think she is one of the characters in Hidden Figures as well. So very intelligent and very definitely a role model. And the last person we have, I'm not even going to try to pronounce her last name. I think it's Polish. Susan Wojcicki? I'm not sure. But she is the CEO of YouTube. She has been in the tech industry for over 20 years, and then she worked for Google before she became the CEO of YouTube. And she actually doesn't have a degree in tech, but she became interested in the industry after graduation. So that just goes to show you don't have to be a software engineer to be in the tech industry. There are a lot of people who help create software, and you definitely need all types of people. So, for example, you would need someone to manage the projects. You would need someone to decide how much it costs to create the software. So it definitely takes a whole village, and it's not just a software engineer team. And I actually have the same statistic, I think. So currently, women only make up 23% of the Canadian tech industry, and that is a pretty low number, especially considering the fact that it's not even a quarter of the tech industry yet. And you can kind of imagine that, like, if there were a classroom of people, so if there were 16 people in a room, maybe 3 or 4 of them would be girls. So definitely we are lacking in the female department, but that's why we're here, so that we can spread the word. And I think it's definitely not because we are incapable or that we're not able to do it, but it's just because not enough girls are being pushed to pursue these types of careers. And a lot of the fact is that a lot of people don't know about it. So they don't actually know what they do, or they're not encouraged to take that path. So that's what we're here for. And that's me. Thank you.
Came here, no problem.
It's really inspiring to hear your trajectory into the tech world. And my degree at university was in technology education, and the statistics were very similar 20 plus years ago. So we really, really want to encourage all of you, if you are interested in technology and science, and really I think it's the wave of the future of making the world a better place. we just want to encourage you to continue in that trajectory. So next, I'm assuming that's your presentation. We have Courtney. So Courtney's a 21-year-old who grew up here in Moncton. She just recently completed her bachelor's degree in software engineering.
Bolt cutters for a log. Beer room 303.
At the University of New Brunswick, where she also played field hockey. She was the president of the dance team, and she will be joining that this summer to begin her career as a software developer. Congratulations. That's pretty amazing.
It'll just take a sec to bring on.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Courtney. I'm gonna do a bit of a different style of a presentation than what Nury did. Nury and I actually just did a project together and we grew up together, so we kind of talked about what we were gonna present to you today before coming. So let's just jump right in. This is gonna make more sense until the very end, but just something to keep in mind while I present. So for starters, I just wanted to talk a bit about myself. I didn't actually want to about my mom and my sister, but I said that I should probably tell you a little about myself so that you pay attention. So, like Céline said, I just finished my undergrad in software engineering, and I am from Moncton. I grew up here. These are some pictures that I thought would be fun to include. This is myself and a couple of my roommates who are also in software engineering. This is my friend Megan, who I played field hockey with while I was at school. She is in chemical engineering. And then this is me at a dance competition with my friend Emma. Emma is in kinesiology, but she actually did some computer science classes this year, so she had a lot of questions for me. I chose to include these photos just to show that you can do a lot of things and still do computer science. It's not your whole personality, and just I wanted to show some girls in my life that inspired me that also are in the STEM field. And just a little bit, I wanted to include Emma to show that even if you don't choose to go directly into like a computer science or tech field, that you might still run into it, which is kind of fun. So I honestly don't know what I can't see my notes, so I don't know what I put for what is software engineering. So I'll just talk about it a bit. I think Nury gave a really good introduction to it. A lot of people think of what's in this picture here when they think of software engineering, which is just the code, and that's really cool, but it can be really intimidating. I remember when I would see things like this, I was like, first of all, this looks like kind of boring to me, just all these like lines, and it looked like a lot, and like I was like, I can never do this. So I wanted to show you some of the things that the code makes, and that I think gives you kind of a better idea of what you can do. So I have some videos here. So these are some things I've done when I was at school. So I don't know if it's gonna play, but so I'll start to talk about it. This here is in one of my courses, and this is actually just a lab project. So every couple of weeks we had to do a lab, and this was one of them. And if it lowered, so we'll see some words of here. And this is actually when I moved with my roommate, and we made a game. So we called it Beep Beep Bop. It was a little bit like Bop It. So a word would come up on the screen, and then you had to click the corresponding button. So this is just like an activity. There's a lot of code involved in this to make sure the right word showed up, to make sure we click the button in time. And we could look at the code, but like I said, when I was looking at that, it kind of scared me. And looking at a game is kind of fun. The videos are slow, but I'm sure you can get the idea. The next one here is actually a project I worked on with Nury all year. So each student, if you go into engineering, you do a family project in your final year, and we actually made a dating app, which I hope you're too young to be on. You have to be 18, but this is a project myself and actually 4 other girls. Maybe we're on a overall team, in our class. So that was just another thing that we built. This has volume. It's a really enormous sound, so you'll be lucky if you can't hear it. But this is a project for a class, and it was a parking assistant. So as we got closer, the beeping got louder and closer together, which I don't think my roommates appreciated when we were making that, but it was just to show some of the different things you can do. So what I wanted to focus on was some of the things I learned in the last few years. I really only got into computer science and tech at university, so I've learned a lot. These are less about actually coding and different things, and more just some things I learned about choosing something that I want to do. Maybe this is frozen. Okay. So the first thing I learned is that reading is more important than knowing. I did not know anything about computers. If my computer shuts off, I still don't know if I have to click the power button or hold the power button to turn it on. But I still graduated, so I wanted to show some different things. What I was really intimidated when I got started, because a lot of the people in my classes loved computers, loved coding, loved video games, different things, and they'd been trying this. I didn't know computer science in high school, so I literally was looking things up, words, looking words the profs were saying in my class, on Google as they were talking, different things like that. So one thing to remember is that anywhere we go into, there's a really small chance that you're going to be the person who knows the most. But you can always be the person who learns the most. So that's kind of a choice. And I think that's what's important to focus on. And later when you do the activity, you might feel like a little bit lost and like you don't know anything, or the person next to you knows more. So I think like one thing to focus on is just trying to be the person that learns the most, and that will benefit you. The next thing I learned was computer science, not just about computers. So I was like not really into computers at all, and I was a little bit like, I don't like computers at all and do this. But it's not just about computers. It is actually about problem solving and coming up with creative solutions. So some different things that I like that actually help you in computer science. One is baking. Baking is very specific instructions followed in a specific order to make things turn out right, and that's kind of what computer science is about too, is writing instructions in an order that makes them work. Another thing that I don't know if my coach would like me to say when I was in basketball, my coach, great coach, was not great at explaining the drills to the team. He would explain the drill, explain the point of the drill, but he was a bit lost when it came to who needed to go where in the drill, and he would usually just take a step back and say, okay, Courtney, you can tell everyone where to go. So this was kind of trying to figure out the most efficient way to get people moving, and how we can move between different parts of the drill. So that's another thing that I enjoyed that actually helped me in computer science. So that's just something to consider. There's lots of different things about computer science, like puzzles and problem solving, and not necessarily knowing how to turn on your computer. This one I wanted to include, so build robots, but don't be one. One thing I think that's important is to be yourself. Everyone in my classes, they're all super different, and they bring super different skills to a group or a project. So you might think like, oh, I'm not like this person who's really good at STEM, but that's kind of to your benefit. You need people who are good at different things in every group, so make sure to be yourself. If you're more outspoken, maybe you're the person who helps to encourage someone else along. If you're maybe more quiet and you have some different expertise, you focus on that and you bring that knowledge. But just the most important thing is use the skills that you do have, because they are beneficial even if they're the same as everyone else's. The fourth thing that is really important to me is that you're not only anything. So I put a label here. I think when you're at this age, a lot of people ask, what do you want to be when you grow up? And that's like a super scary question, and it's still a scary question to me. But I think what I learned is that there's not one answer to that question. So what do you want to be when you grow up? You can be so many different things. Like, that's why I put the pictures of me dancing and me playing field hockey. I love computer science and I love software engineering, but it's not all of who I am. So if you leave today and you're like intimidated and you're like, I don't want to be a scientist or I don't want to be a computer scientist, you don't have to be that one thing. It can be a part of who you are, but it doesn't have to be everything. So just be open to trying some things, because it doesn't mean it's the only thing that you are. And the last thing that I learned is when I held this presentation, and that's software engineering is like broccoli. So why I put this is because you probably heard this a lot, but you don't know that you don't like something unless you try it. So I actually went into engineering because I liked math. I honestly had no clue what I wanted to do at university. I wasn't even sure I wanted to go to university, but I was like, okay, these boys in my class are talking about engineering and whatever they can rely on to all around. So I went into engineering, and my first semester I had to take one computer science course, and I was so stressed out, and I told my mom, I was like, whatever, I'm going to hate this. I'll get it out of the way. I'll keep going with engineering, but I'll never have to do computer science again. I'll do this class, and then I'll be done. But I took that class, and I was like, wait a minute, there's no in my favorite class this semester. So I decided to do software engineering. And the other thing about this is you might try it, and you might not like it, and that's okay too. I think what's important is just like being open to things, and I was kind of stubborn, and I thought I knew what I liked. I thought I knew what I didn't like, but I wish I had been a little bit more open from a younger age and just try it. And if you do an activity today and you love it, that's awesome. If you do an activity today and you're like, that's not for me, that's also okay. Just the fact that you're trying something new and challenging yourself is the most important part. So thank you, that's all I have.
Up there. Thank you.
Yeah. Computer engineering is like broccoli. I really like that. I'm going to maybe borrow that sentence.
A flotation? No, I'm just gonna wing it.
Fantastic.
I'll play with this pad.
So Kerry Knee is our next presenter this morning. And so Kerry is a managing director and partner at Manifold Group, Canada, an unconventional venture capital and services company that specializes in developing and growing early stage technologies. Sounds very interesting. Can't wait for this. Kerry has over 25 years experience taking industry first and random products to market across a wide variety of industries, including technology, healthcare, pharmaceutical, telecommunications, human resources, the environment, professional sports, fitness, entertainment, and EdTech. She has an extensive experience in business planning, raising capital, and forming strategic partnerships with Fortune 500 companies like HP and Microsoft, Pfizer, Merck, and Sanofi Aventis. Did I say that correctly? Kerry's previous roles range from being Executive Vice President of Business Development and Marketing at Picamura, did I say that right? Medical device technology company, to VP and Chief Marketing Officer at EduCode, a SaaS technology company that creates coding education programs. However, Kerry is most known for her time as founder and CEO of Flirty Grow Fitness, an upscale women's fitness and entertainment company. She opened 3 locations in 2 countries, developed a custom software program, employed over 120 employees, and serviced over 200,000 customers. She created a fitness clothing line and a national infomercial that generated over $25 million US in revenue. Flirty Grow Fitness was featured on hundreds of media channels, including Oprah, Dr. Oz, TMZ, NBC, ABC, Fox, and CBS. Kerry also holds a Bachelor of Science degree with a double major in geophysics and mathematics from Dalhousie University and an MBA with a marketing concentration from Concordia University. So I think we have a very inspiring woman here with us today to talk about her journey and her experience. So thank you for coming and speaking to us today.
Thank you. That is a lot of information. I don't know how much of that you actually digested. But I, like you guys, I went to middle school in Riverview Middle School. I've got a 13-year-old who goes to Riverview Middle School now. Went to Riverview High School. And I've never taken a tech course in school. I've never done any computer science or anything like that, but yet I work in technology every single day. And it wasn't even my plan to go into technology. I ended up doing business is what I do. And what I like about business, I heard all these different companies and industries and things that I've done, and what's in common with all of them is they're all businesses. But now technology is in every single business. And so you have to understand technology no matter what it is that you do. Every company that you will ever work for or start will be a technology company now. And so you have to know it and absorb it and be a part of it. And you gotta know technology now because you're consuming it and using it, right? On a daily basis. You all probably have iPhones and your tablets. And so you guys are growing up using tech. When I was your age, we didn't even have the internet. So when I graduated university, the internet came out. And it totally changed my entire direction of where I wanted to go. Because it was like, oh my Lord, this is going to change everything. I think the really big actually just happened recently is AI, and it's going to change all of your lives. Has anyone heard of ChatGPT yet? Most people haven't heard of it yet? Yeah, we're going to be using it. You guys using it in school yet? No, you're going to be. So I work, I'll go back to that in a little bit, but I work for, right now, I've worked for a lot of companies. I started my own companies. Now I'm a partner at a company that's headquartered in Chicago, but I get to work here out of Moncton. And so I lived in Halifax, and I've went to school in Montreal, and I worked in Toronto, and I lived in Chicago for about 10 years. And I decided to move back home here because this is just a better place to live. And I've lived in a lot of many big cities, but this is a really cool place. There's a lot of fun things in big cities, but there's a lot of disadvantages too. And you get to have a really great quality of life here. And now with tech, you can work anywhere for any company in the world, and you can live where you want to live. And so I get to live the lifestyle that I like here and being around family. But I get to travel and go to really cool places for work, but get to live here. So that's one of the things. So if you're in tech, you can work anywhere in the world and live anywhere in the world. You can work on a beach if you want to. But as long as you have a computer, you can work now. So that opens up your possibilities. Because when I was after I graduated, I moved away and to get work. And many people did that, but you don't really have to. Nobody in Toronto and the big cities are moving back here to live here. So it really opens up your opportunities. So what I do at Manifold Group, I'll explain what it is. So we're in venture capital. Does anybody know what venture capital is? Anyone ever heard of it before? So venture is a business. It's a young company that's got risk associated with it. It's not proven yet. Startup companies. And capital is money that you need to start your business. So we're a company that we invest money in startup companies. And so we give people like you money to, if you have really good ideas, we might write you a check and give you money to help you start your business. And then we will help you to grow your business. We have a big team, and we also create our own companies within the company. If we find problems in the marketplace and we can't find a solution, we'll create it ourselves. And we have lots of software engineers on staff, data scientists who help us to create those products. And the third thing we do is we help really big companies solve their problems. Because actually really big companies are really bad at innovating. And they need, because you need to think differently to be an innovator, to be more creative. And they're too big and cumbersome to be able to come up with new products a lot. And some of them go out of business because someone like you comes in there and creates something really cool and a different way of doing something. it disrupts that company and it's no longer in business because you've come up with something really cool and a better way to do something. And so technology gives you that opportunity to be able to come up with solve problems, really. And if there's one thing that I can sort of recommend for you guys, and I didn't know it until I was doing my master's degree in business, that what you need to, it's the mindset that you have. Like, it's not about getting good grades in school. It's not about learning how to like ace a test and just sort of like to get a degree or like this. It's about the mindset of just being a constant learner. Because I learn every single day. I learn way more now than I ever did when I was back in school. And you do it every single day. You're reading, you're looking for cool new technologies of what's in the market and what somebody is doing and creating relationships and how are they going to work together. But it's the constant, you have to learn to want to love to learn. I didn't learn, I liked school when I was in middle school. And I liked it when I was in high school. But then university, then I really started liking university. I had 10 years of university because I really liked it. And well, I just imagine I actually didn't, I think, why ever move? Like, it's so awesome being in university. But then I realized after when I got out, it's like, oh my God, it's like, you're still learning and you're studying really cool things, but you get to make lots of money doing it. So why didn't I move sooner? It's a really fun and exciting time that you're going to come up into, and you sort of have to learn what you want to do. You don't need to learn what you want to do when you finish high school. You don't have to even know what you want to do when you are in university. It will come to you. I promise it will come. When I was graduating high school, I wanted to be an architect. And to do that, I did 2 years math. And I didn't want to be a mathematician, but I had to do that, so I figured I had to do it. I'm in architecture. And I went into architecture, and I'm like, well, I don't know. I like it, but I don't know if I want to do this. And I changed my mind, and I changed universities, and I did, I became a geophysics degree. I don't do anything in geology. And then I went and I got an MBA in business, because I got the business part of the thing that I was in my summer jobs and what I was doing. And I thought I'd done environmental management, but then the internet happened, what we call the dot-com boom, and all these tech companies and opportunities, and I was like, this is fascinating. So then I had to learn tech completely on my own. And you will learn so much more on your own, learning if you just develop the desire and the passion to want to learn right now. And you're not going to remember the information. When you take a test and you're trying to memorize and know everything, you can know the answers. None of that's going to matter. I promise you, I'm going to remember it. And you don't need to remember it because you can look all that information up later. All it teaches you is how to learn. And then it makes you go find information and you solve problems. And if you're in business, your job is to solve problems. And if you do find to solve a problem better than somebody else, and you work as a team, and everybody does their part, you create new solutions and then I figure out how to take those products to market. And that's what I do. I take products to market. I don't code them. I don't build the products myself. But I come up with the ideas on what I want done. And then I will hire these ladies to come and to do it for me. But my job is to build relationships. And that's one of the main things I think are going to, a skill set that is going to be so important to you going forward, is being able to meet people, asking lots of questions about what they do in the classes, asking. The more you ask questions and challenge things, it's part of the process. And when you do that going forward, as opposed to just, having a job and doing a job, you learn a lot. You find out what the opportunities are, how can we possibly work together. Because right now everything is very collaborative. It's not about competition. When I'm in another company, there's someone different than you. I try to find out everything that they're doing, what they're doing, what they want to do, understand their products, and realize, maybe we can work together because we're doing something different, but we're going after a similar customer. And we figure out ways to collaborate and work together. So how many, you guys have anyone go out there and they're doing the makeup and haven't decided yet? Well, quite a few. Does anybody want to be a software engineer? Maybe. Anyone want to go to business? A couple? One of the things that I recommend business, it allows you to work in any industry. You can, like I said, I've done everything from entertainment, fitness, healthcare, education, and there's tech involved, but it's the business models. It's like the standard business principles are learn how to run a business, how to take products to market. It allows you to change jobs. Because most likely you're not going to graduate and get a job and have one job for the rest of your life. It's highly, highly unlikely today. You'll probably change your job and the career and what you do a whole bunch of times. Just like I've changed a whole bunch of times. You'll find a path of things that you like to do. But if you have a general sense of a general knowledge, often I call it being like a polymath. A polymath means that you know a little bit about a lot. And that when you know a little bit about a lot, you know enough to be able to learn in the industry. Right now I'm doing something with oil and gas and drilling. I have absolutely no idea about that industry, but I'm having to learn about it really quickly. And so once you figure out that process of learning, you can apply it anywhere. So having like a basic, if you're not sure what you want to do, choosing like a general degree, even a general computer science degree, because you can apply it to anything. But business is either they're general, and then you can decide then later what you want to specialize in. You have any questions?
Yes, what to do. Thank you. And yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing. I love that the three of you spoke of learning to love to learn about anything, right? And then you're set up for success in the future. So inspiring, all three of you. Thank you so much for being here today with us. I know myself as an adult who, I am in my career. We were just saying over there, I was like, I'm going to go back to school. I don't want to be a software engineer. I don't want to start a business. So inspiring. Do we have any questions for our guest today, or what questions do you have for our guest today?
Don't be shy.
Helps.
All right, we have a question over here. Let's see.
It's a question for you.
For me.
For STEM, does it count to be a construction worker?
Sure, I'm sure we use lots of math with being a construction worker, so that I believe would fit in a field of STEM, for sure.
There's construction technos in the entire industry. And so there's a lot of technology with how we can build buildings more sustainably, use less greenhouse gases, less energy, more energy efficient, software, how you manage and run the building. So there's play. It's a huge industry now, just tech. So you can add tech at any industry you pick up, and you can put tech on the end of it, and there's a ton of products and software solutions available just in that industry.
We're even 3D printing houses and buildings now, which I find fascinating. I don't know if any of you have done 3D printing before. It's something that my friends sitting over there, it's something that we do in our jobs and kind of encourage and show students and teachers how to use 3D printers and to think of it on a large scale, because it works pretty much the same way. So to think of people are actually designing buildings and 3D printing them, it's just mind-blowing to me. Do we have any other questions this morning?
So it's for regarding the other. No, well then to the lab. I mean, right? Yes.
Or Kerry?
It's actually a bad question, and it's up to you whether you want to take it each way or not. But how would a business start to grow?
So the question is, how does a business start to grow?
Can you hear me if I talk? Maybe the mic. You know, hear me? Okay. It's a lot of hard work to start a business. You have to develop a business plan and how you're going to take your company to market. But it depends what type of business it's in, but you're going to need a business development team to be able to sell the business. One, you create a really good product that people are going to want to buy, right? As a service or product. And it's, it has to solve a good problem for them. It has to solve a problem well. It's the number one thing. If your product is only incrementally a little bit better than something else, it's going to be more difficult to sell. If you develop something that is new and novel and nobody's offering this or it's unique, then you've got a real advantage, right? So that's, you've got to have a good product or service, and you've got to put a lot of time and effort into figuring out what are your competitors doing, what else is in the marketplace. So you've got to have a good solution to offer, but then you need to be able to communicate it. So you can build a test product in the whole world, but they're not going to come flock to it and buy it unless you share about it. So this is worth learning all of your skills right now with social media and how you use social media to promote what it is that you're doing. It depends if you're selling your product to a consumer, so you want all people like this, individuals, to buy it, or you might be selling to another business, which instead of selling business to consumer, you're selling business to business, in which case you do a lot what I do, and you go and you travel and you meet with leaders in other companies, and you talk about the services that you can offer that company to sell to them. So it really is going to vary depending on what type of business you have. But it's a detailed plan that you're going to have to come up with. And this is where going to business school will help you. And it teaches you how to prepare a business plan, how to pitch your company. You're going to need to raise money for your company. You're going to have to pitch your idea to someone like me. And I'll say, that's a brilliant idea. I'm going to write you a check for $500,000 and you can get started. I'll allowing you to hire the team that you're going to do. And so when people break a check, they back you, right? They believe we invest in someone. We invest in someone that we believe is passionate. With Manifold, we only invest in people who are what we call have a growth mindset. We hire people with a growth mindset, and we only invest in people with a growth mindset. And the growth mindset means that you constantly love learning. That's your number one, like the thing that you love to learn and love to challenge yourself. You have tenacity. You want to keep going and doing it because you're passionate about it, not because you have to give a grade, not because you have to pass the year, not because you just have to finish school. Like, you have to do it. It's doing because you want to do it and you enjoy learning. So that's little animal. I can plug that part. I'm not found forth. That is. Is that into your question? Yes. So to say, well, is that a question? Yeah, the question.
When you say that your product, it has to be like new, and it can't be another copy of something that's already made. Can like inventors work with like business people to create products?
Can you work with inventors to create products?
Yeah, do inventors work with businesses to create products?
Yeah, so an inventor might have an idea. Because we have inventors who come to us and pitch their ideas all the time. And they don't have a product yet. They have an idea what they'd want to do. And sometimes if we think that their idea is novel enough, we might decide, okay, well, we'll team up with you and we'll do it with you and we'll help you build it together. So that's perfectly possible. But listen. Usually what you do is you start with some sort of a prototype. You start putting together like a plan or something in order to get to the next step. For the most part, if you just have an idea and you haven't done anything about it, it's going to be difficult to sort of sell people on it because you got to do something. Build a test product or something, or maybe you're going to want to partner with someone. So maybe you have an idea what to do, but you don't have the, maybe you want to need a business, like you said, you have a business idea, but you need to team up with one of these ladies, and you pitch your product, this is what I want to build, but do you want to be my business partner and help? And so you could do something like that, and where you get a group of people together that you need, and the skill sets that you need to put together a test version of your product, a prototype that you kind of started out, and see if some people, if your customers are interested in it.
I see that connected very well to the school had a big science fair, and some of the projects were research projects, but some of them were inventions and innovations, and we had the chance to come and see some of them, and it was exactly that, right? It's taking your idea and making some sort of little prototype, whether it's functional or not, but having that idea and having something tangible to demonstrate. So some of you are already on that route, right? You're already thinking of things that you've been building or a problem that you want to solve. So you're well on your way.
One of the things I would add to that is think about, at the end of the day, what you're doing is solving someone's problem. So before you start sort of dreaming up solution first, go backward, like go the other way. Think about the problem first. What problem are you solving? And what we like to do is we'll do user interviews. So the people who we want to sell to, we start talking to them. Can you tell us more about your problem? And we'll write it all up in detail. We'll ask them tons of questions, try to understand exactly why they're having the problem, how often are they having the problem. He defined the problem first, and then we'll say with something like this, if you could do this, would that solve your problem? And sort of yes or no. And then they'll start saying, oh, I wish you could. If my software would only do this, or this takes me so long to do, and if I can shorten that amount of time. And so the more you talk with them about what their problems are, then you start brainstorming. It's like, we thought of this solution. And if you're well versed in technologies and know sort of the types of technologies that exist in the marketplace, then you start thinking about, I met this company that they have a solution. So I could use part of this company's solution, and then there's some other product that might come in here. And so I might stitch together like 3 different solutions to other companies that together would work really well to solve that company's problem. And so it really all starts from the problem and figuring out how you're going to solve it. What technology, what product, what service, when you're going to create to solve that customer's problem. And you got to be sure it's not just one customer that has a problem. You want to check and see, is this a consistent problem that everyone is dealing with this? If that's the case, you've got to market people who want to buy something because they all have a similar problem.
Thank you. Fantastic. So just looking at the time, it is 11 o'clock. I promised to break at 11 o'clock. So I'm going to thank our presenters for taking the time out of your day and coming to speak to our learners here about your journeys and giving your inspiring talks. We invite you to stay and experience the unplugged coding activity we're going to be doing after our break. So right now we're going to take a 5-minute break, and when we come back, I'll introduce our presenters for the next little part for your robotics activity.